In this series, I will explain 12 great ways to become a team player after reading this book named Becoming a Great Team Player by Alistair McCaw. The first chapter I'll go over today is a chapter titled Great Team Players are Team Focused. The quote on this page is, "The bonus about being team focused and supporting your teammates is that it takes the pressure away from yourself." Basically, what this chapter talks about is not being focused on your own self, but helping the team as one so that you can come together in the game and become better players with each other, as long as you're not selfish or anything. The second chapter I'm going to focus on is titled Great Team Players Promote Strong Values. The quote in this chapter is, "A people that values its privileges above its principles soon loses both." What this chapter talks about is a player and their outside of the court or field journey. This means that they have to find good friends that will be a good impact on them, that they will take to the court in the field into being a better person once they're out there. Also, what it says is to keep them and their teammates at the highest standards possible. This will make them value each other much more and make altogether a great team experience. The third chapter I'll talk about is titled Great Team Players Are Big on Time Management. The quote for this chapter says, "Players who are late are stating that their time is more important than the team." What this is saying is that players who are late aren't valuing their team to the maximum as they should be. A coach of mine used to say, if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. And if you're late, get running. I know that's funny, but it's kind of true. If you're not going to be on time and put that as the priority, then you're not going to put the team as the priority later on in your career. The fourth chapter I'll focus on is titled Great Team Players Do Not Make Excuses. The quote for this chapter is, "A coach shouldn't need to coach attitude, energy, or commitment. That should be on the player." What this says is that basically complainers, whiners, or just people that don't give it their all should not be on the court or the field or whatever sport they're playing if they're not going to give these. These are non-negotiables. Complaining is the worst possible thing you can do because it drags your team down. The author says it is a contagious disease and will spread to the rest of the team, which is true. If one person has a bad attitude, then soon others will have a bad attitude towards that player, and all of a sudden your entire team is infected with this thing. The fifth chapter I'm going to focus on is titled Great Team Players Are Deeply Interested. The quote for this chapter is, "Great team players don't just listen with their ears, they listen with all their senses." What this is saying is that not only do players listen with their ears, but they're listening with their body. If their body communication is bad, then obviously they're not going to be fully listening and they're not fully invested into what the coach is talking about or another player is speaking about. This is really bad because it doesn't allow for a good team chemistry, and if nobody's giving it 100% and isn't fully invested, then it's just going to lag off from there. Just like the weakest link in a chain is never going to make the chain better. The sixth chapter I'll focus on is titled Great Team Players Don't Allow for Gossip. The quote for this chapter is, "Losers assemble in small groups and complain about the coaches and other players. Winners work as a unit." What this chapter talks about is the amount of gossip nowadays that is going around, that it just doesn't provide for good team chemistry. And that's not it. If you're a gossiper and you're making it hard for other teammates, the entire team is not going to be as strong as they would if everyone would work together and help each other with any of their problems. This chapter says that all teams need to have a great atmosphere at practice and outside of practice, and not allow for gossip off the court or on the court. The seventh chapter I'll focus on is titled Great Team Players Are All About the Controllables. The quote for this chapter is, Coaches love a player who brings a great attitude and energy. Both require no talent, only a choice. This is all it is talking about being a predator instead of a prey for a mindset. These controllables are things that you don't have to be the best basketball player. You don't need any skill to do, but you do have to have a good energy towards it and a good attitude. Some uncontrollables are past and future events, other players' words and actions, the weather, playing surface conditions, opponents, officials, and spectators. Controllables: response to a situation, self-discipline, energy, focus, effort, attitude, preparation, work ethic, commitment, process, and body language. The question it leaves you off with in this chapter is, what controllables in your life could you be controlling better? The 8th chapter I'm going to be focusing on is titled, Great Team Players Are on a Constant Self-Improvement Mission. The quote for this chapter is, great team players have a burning inner desire to get better. They are restless in their pursuit of excellence. What this is saying is great team players always want to improve themselves so that they can be better for others. It talks about all of the great basketball players, such as Kobe Bryant, who spends hours and hours a day improving himself so that he is better on the court for his team and teammates. This is a great lesson because without improving each and every one of the players on the team, your team won't get any better. The 9th chapter I'll focus on is titled, Great Team Players Are Fierce Competitors. The quote for this chapter is, becoming a fierce player doesn't require any special talent or skills. All it involves is a choice. Anyone can become that player. What this is talking about is, it doesn't matter if you're in the game or out of the game, but once you go in this game, you have to be on 100% energy the entire time and giving it all you have. Being a fierce competitor means you're not going to stop if the other team's up by 15 or even 30. It doesn't matter. You're going to keep driving through and make your team better as well as you can. The 10th chapter I'm going to focus on is titled, Great Team Players Hustle. The quote for this chapter is, be it in practice or in competition, great team players hustle and work hard all the time. Now, it should go without saying that at your practice or a game, you should always hustle. But many players don't do that. In this chapter, it talks about the entire difference it makes if you were to run to the sideline after you're subbed in, or if you're just going to walk over and slouch. This shows a lot of character about you and actually improves the other team's morale, because if your head's down and you're not happy about what's going on, they're already getting in your head. All of the great players, such as players in the NBA, are able to control this and will always hustle and give no benefit to the other team by shaking their head or slouching or anything. The 11th chapter I'm going to focus on is titled, Great Team Players Are Invested in the Team. The quote to this chapter is, teamwork is the ability to work together toward a common vision, the ability to direct individual accomplishments towards organizational objectives. It is the fuel that allows common people to attain uncommon results. What this is saying is that if you're out for a sport or anything for yourself, you're not gonna get anything done with it. You have to be invested with the team and all the people around you if you want to succeed in a team sport. If you're playing basketball and there's 5 people on the other team and you're the only one doing anything for your entire team, you're not going to get anything done. But if you were to use all 5 people on your team and all work together, it's going to be a competitive game no matter what the score is. The 12th and final chapter I'm going to be focusing on is titled, Great Team Players Love to Practice. The quote to this chapter is, the athletes I've seen who've gone on to the greatest had much closer relationships with practice than their peers. They were locked in and focused. What this says is all the great players have always done is practice, practice, practice. Now, obviously, you're going to practice way more than your games, but these players are taking it to another level. They're doubling their practice time. Even some players triple. This gets them to the point that they're ready for any situation in any game, no matter what the score is, how much time's left, or what situation that they're in. It doesn't matter if the best player is on the court or if you have the worst team on the court. You're always going to be able to adapt to that just because of the amount of time you spend in your practice every single day. In my opinion, this book, Becoming a Great Team Player by Alistair McCaw, was a great read. This taught me a lot on how to be a good team player and how to help my teammates on and off the court. It gives you a lot of valuable lessons that will not only help you in sports, but in your entire life. These were 12 chapter summaries that pertain to